Welcome back to Become a Calm Mama. I'm your host. I'm Darlene Childress. And today I'm going to start the episode a little bit unique, and I'm just going to pop you right into a conversation that I am having with a colleague of mine named Mary Skinner. And I'll properly introduce you to her in a second, but I wanted you to hear the beginning of our conversation because it's so juicy and it really sets the stage for what we're going to talk about. Curious, what's on your mind these days?
My kids have been gone for a month at my in-laws, and which is so fun. They go and it is so wonderful. And I always feel so guilty the first couple days of like, oh my gosh, like guilty that my kids were gone, that I was supposed to be this mom that loves her kids and loves spending every second with them. And I do and I don't. I also work and I am busy, and I realize how overstimulated I am when I'm home with my kids a lot.
That is Mary Skinner. She is a birth doula and the mother of 3 children and a yoga instructor and just an all-around amazing mom and person. And in this conversation, we're talking about guilt. We're talking about mom judgment. We're talking about why we feel so bad and how to stop feeling so bad. And also a little bit about the problems with gentle parenting and how important it is to set boundaries, and our own journey figuring out how to set boundaries and become the leaders in our home and how to drop guilt. There are so many little nuggets of wisdom in this episode that I have a feeling you're going to want to write stuff down and listen back and learn different things as we talk about mom guilt, judgment, boundaries, and just raising really resilient kids. So please enjoy this episode with Mary Skinner. Welcome, Mary, to the podcast. In the intro, I played the thing about what you just said about guilt and feeling overstimulated and having a break from your kids and feeling guilt that you are relieved or happy whenever you have that. And tell us about your work and your business and how you like your life a little bit. Give some context. And then I want to talk about how to cope with that guilt feeling when you do get a break. I think that happens to moms a lot.
So I'm a birth and postpartum doula. I'm a holistic birth and postpartum doula. I own Lotus Doula Tribe, which is a tribe of moms supporting moms, because early on in my doula work, I realized that I cannot do it all. I have 3 kids and that I kind of hybrid homeschool. And there's just no way that I can be at every birth and do it all. And so I started the tribe a couple years ago. And so I found other just like-minded mothers that were either newer doulas or maybe had been a doula, but not like super busy or whatever, all similar style. And we value the same things. And it's just a beautiful like tribe that we have. And so we've got
Can you
several
tell
other
the audience
doulas.
what a doula is? Because not everybody
Oh,
knows.
yes. That's true. I didn't even know.
I know.
So in Latin, doula means a woman servant. And it started hundreds of years ago of just women coming to support other women having babies. And that maternal wisdom, that we all have, and just being there to hold space and witness women as they go through a very transformative journey and experience.
Oh, I love that.
And
So beautiful.
it
What a
is,
gift for someone to have a doula as part of the journey for their, entry into motherhood and this new child that's coming into their life. I love that.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is so beautiful.
Yeah. So you're juggling this business and births come when they come, right? So you also kind of need to be available. And
Hmm.
it's so good you have a team now because it's not all on you. You can
Yeah.
kind of build up that group that helps support you. And what is that? How do you juggle that? Like, what does that look like in your life with your kids, or is your partner like around? Like, what is that
Yeah.
actually like? Because I think women, as I've talked to moms, throughout the years, it's like it is very hard to have a career when
Mhm.
you are the default parent, when you're the person who has to like be home when they're sick, or, you want to participate in the field trips and whatever the things are that are happening. And I think it's can make women not want to stay in in their field and not participate in, the economy or like whatever it is that they are drawn to, their mission. So what have you done to balance that? What's that look like?
I think like just being an entrepreneur and just self-employed, and there is so much freedom in being your own boss and making your own hours. And I think that's been really helpful for me as a mom. But I will say when I owned a student loan consolidation company 10, 13 years ago. And that was really overwhelming. Like my heart, it was not a passion. My heart was not in it. I was very stressed, did very well financially, but not worth my soul, you know?
Yeah.
And I actually like I did that for a couple years and it just lost myself. You know, I was very unhappy. I was snapping at my children, and then I would
Mhm.
feel so much guilt for taking it out on them and
Yeah.
because I was so overstimulated and just like so and but also not doing anything that I loved.
Mhm.
And it was really hard. So I actually ended up like quitting everything. I closed the business down and just became a mom. And I became a mom. I was a mom, but like I still taught yoga classes because I've taught yoga. And that has like been such a beautiful saving therapeutic grace for me and other like fitness modality classes for fun. But I was so focused on my kids and it was like such a relief. They really needed me, you know, in those little years. And it was so nice. And I had to really budget. Like I was used to a certain income, a dual income. So I had to like really budget, get rid of a lot of things, no more pedicures, no more massages, no more car washes, you know, all the luxury things, no eating out. Like it was for the first time in my life, I had a budget because being a mom was so, so important to me.
Mhm.
And I needed to make it work, you know, in Southern California. I did that for about 8 years, but I just kept this little like voice in me was like, Mary, like, but you love to work and you love to do stuff and you know and so I
Yeah.
knew that eventually I would get back to working, but I really wanted to savor this little time when they were little
Yeah.
and it was beautiful. And then but as soon as my kids kind of got older and independent, and that is like key, that's how I've been able to do this is because
Yeah.
I've taught them to be able to cook for themselves, be able to pick up after themselves, be able to like be kind of self-starters and just self-motivated to do things that I don't have to always do and be. And that's like how I've been able to do it because I trust that. And my husband's amazing. He's self-employed, so got flexibility. And my daughter was older. She's 14 now, so she was like 11 when I started like really getting into this, and she's super mature. And
I love that.
so,
I love
you
that. I mean,
know,
that's not everyone's reality, that's for sure. But it does sound like some of the key components are making sure you have capacity, right? And if you aren't able to manage the hours or the whatever that tax is on you, and you made a big choice
right.
to say, like, I have to take a break from this. And at the same time, teaching your children to become more independent, you're working with them so that you can create a lifestyle that does lend itself for you to start working again. And I wonder if there
Yeah.
was like a wisdom in that of like, someday these kids are going to need to be independent while
Right.
I go back to work, with that intention.
Yeah.
There is evidence that a primary parent is a working parent, that you do grow up more self-reliant, independent. So I think the guilt that we feel is often because we think that we're not doing something right. We're not giving our kids what they should have or deserve or whatever it is. And actually,
Yeah.
it's the opposite. It's like your kids this summer being away with their grandparents, like they're growing so much in becoming independent and exposed to new adults and problem solving on their own without relying on their parents. And that's the
Yeah.
value of like having kids in camps or after school programs or even going to school. It's not necessarily the
Yeah.
answer, but it is an opportunity. And we don't feel guilt when we send our children to school. And it's because we have
Right.
an internal belief. I mean, not always, but like if we decide that school's safe and good and yummy, we're like, yeah, and it's good for them. So if we can kind of
Yeah.
help ourselves understand that something is good for our kids, we will feel less guilt. I was gonna say
Well,
you go
I've
to
been on,
work and it's so easy to think, oh, I feel so bad. I should be with my children.
yeah,
And it's like, well, why? Why do you think you should be with them? That's the concept
mhm,
itself is hurting their development. They should have time away
yeah,
from you in order to grow
yeah.
and become whoever they're supposed to become.
There's so many thoughts that came to mind as you were talking, because I've been on both sides of this. So, I have not worked and been with my kids all day, and I've homeschooled them, like me doing the homeschool for 3 years
Hmm.
and not working. And it was beautiful. And it was really hard, really challenging, especially with my middle, who was probably like undiagnosed ADHD, and I was trying to like homeschool him. And that was like so challenging, wanting to pull my hair out. Because I had this certain expectation of how, he should learn. And he was like, yeah, right. Being in like the homeschool crew, there was a lot of judgment of like moms that send their kids to school
Hmm.
and working moms.
Yeah.
And then I'm now on the other side of like I've put my kids in like these homeschool pods, where it's drop off so I can work. And there's even judgment working moms to stay at home moms. It's like there's
Yes, we're all
judgment
judging each other.
everywhere.
Yes.
And
I
it's
think
like at
as
the end of
so let's
the
talk
day,
about that because I think that's really interesting. Like, what's your thought? Like, why do we do that? What do you, I have my thoughts, and I'm just
It,
like,
it- it's a whole projection. It's a whole insecurity. We just project of what we're insecure about, and it's got nothing to do with the actual reality of everyone has to do what's best for them. Like there's no perfect way to raise your children, to educate your children. It's you just have to do what works for you and your family and stop judging everyone. Like we're all just doing the best that we can
yeah.
for this moment of time, for this season of our life. There was a
Mhm.
season where I worked, and there was a season where I didn't, and there was a season that I homeschooled, and there's a season that I don't. And
Mhm.
so, you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
and so I found myself judging back in the past, and now I'm on the other side. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe how much judgment I did and people do. And it's just like, we got to stop. We're all
I
just
know.
the best that we can.
And I think it's actually bigger than the individual judgment of each other and the individual insecurity. I think that there is a generalized false expectation on mothers and on what
Hmm.
the outcomes of children are supposed to be and how much
Hmm.
influence do we actually have over
Hmm.
the course of our children's lives and should we have this much power and do we and is if we do we should we and I think all of us are feeling in general that we're not doing it right or well.
Hmm.
And there's this undercurrent of it's so fucking hard for me. And then this person is just, sending their kid to childcare or whatever. And then we're
Hmm.
like almost jealous because it looks like maybe that's like the easy way out. But then that person is
Totally.
also choosing a hard way too,
Right.
because it is just hard.
Hmm.
It's hard
Yeah.
to raise kids.
Yeah. And
And
so we don't need anyone judging or ourselves judging ourselves.
yeah.
And one of my mantras that I preach every week in my prenatal yoga classes, in my candlelight yoga, and my mommy and me yoga is I am doing the best that I can. And that is just like, I
And
just
it's
repeat that to
enough.
myself, and it's enough. And
Add,
that's all I can do.
add, it's enough. Because I feel sometimes I love that, but I also feel like I'm doing the best that I can feel a little bit like I would do more if I could or something. And I just think like I am doing enough. Like
Yeah.
everything I'm doing is beyond enough. Like it's more than
Yeah.
enough. I could do less and I would still be killing it. I feel so strongly about this because I'm so tired of moms feeling so burned out,
Hmm. Because they
thinking
have these
there's
crazy high
right that
expectations.
there's more
And
I
they've
could
seen all
should
the
do.
reels on Insta and
Oh my
TikTok and
God, social
Facebook and the
media.
comparison and the comparison. And it's like,
Yes.
it's not real, first of all. And like, B, who cares what they're doing? Just
Hmm.
focus on you and your family and what your needs are.
Yes, and helping your children continue to continuously be challenged in a supportive way. I,
Hmm.
I think of it like if we can just get our kids to have the right fit of challenge. Like your
Hmm.
daughter has done such a great job finding the right fit for her when it comes to managing learning to cook or this camp. And, it's challenging. It's in the right scope for her. So it's not overly taxing on her. And then she has your emotional support. And I think
Yeah.
all of us can look at our kids and be like, well, let's see what is their best challenge and how can I emotionally support them instead of removing challenges.
Right. Because it's
It,
just going to make them weaker. Hold on, my
yeah.
cat is like so annoying. Close the door. They won't stop meowing. Yeah, that's another big thing of like, how can we make our kids' life easier? But when you make it easier, they just become softer and not as resilient, you know?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I feel like I actually sometimes try to make things harder for my kids because I really want them to figure it out. Like I don't want to problem solve for them. I don't want to buy things for them. I always want them to pay for themselves. I want them to value working, so they value the dollar so that they can save up and buy things and then they actually really respect those things and don't trash the things and aren't ingrateful and because that can happen.
Yeah, it's so true. I think that's one of the things we're seeing. And I think it's coming from a good place, but that we're almost creating kids who don't have emotional resilience. Like they're not tough enough. And it's because we have thought that our job is to make it pain free and
Hmm.
that we're going to raise these kids in an environment that is so idyllic and bulldoze away every problem and, create all of this
Right.
beauty and joy and happiness and ease. And I love all that. I want that, of course. But if we are doing it, we're burned out because we're trying so hard. That's not great as a mom. We can't
Hmm.
work so
Hmm.
hard at making a perfect childhood that we're yelling at them because we're so taxed, right? That's not very idyllic. And then it
Right.
hurts the kids' opportunity to like struggle and
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's because we have a misconception of what our job is sometimes.
Totally. Of
Yeah.
wanting to protect them. And I hear a lot of parents say, I want to give my kids a life better than I had.
Hmm.
And part of me is like, well, yes and no.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
definitely more emotionally intelligent because I feel like, some parents from that generation before us were not. Um, and yeah, I just, I'm not a big fan of the gentle parenting. I tried that and I failed and I was yelling and, very stressed out. Um, and so finding how to like lead, with leadership and love, but being a
Hmm.
leader in the home, was a huge thing. And I know
Yeah.
that's probably what you do with your parenting, with your
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. If their parenting model is only based on emotional validation, right? That's like what gentle parenting is trying to say is let's raise emotionally intelligent kids by emotionally validating them and giving them the support. That's the intention of it. But what has happened is that then it becomes boundaryless
Mm-hmm.
because the feeling becomes the goal is trying to make everyone happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the problem because then you don't have an opportunity to teach your kids how to struggle, how to find a boundary, push up against it, fail, experience the impact of that failure. And it's funny because when I started teaching parenting 15 years ago, I used to have to say feelings matter. Like I had to teach that. And now, 15 years later, I have to say rules matter.
Mm-hmm. That's so
So we've
interesting.
kind of come too far. And now, in
Mhm.
parent education, that I do fear that there's going to be a backlash against feelings matter. And I just say feelings first, behavior second. This is not a feelings only model. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is okay for your kids to be unhappy. That's actually important. It's
Yeah.
okay for them to be sad that you left or you're not at the little like mom's tea or whatever, and because you're like, I'm sorry, I'm traveling for work, or I have to take care of your grandmother, she's ill,
Right.
like
Right.
whatever it is, there's like
Yeah.
reasons that adult life is as important as children's lives, maybe more.
Hmm.
Yeah. I love what you said about leadership. Like, yeah, finding leadership in love. And how do you define that? Because I think it's something I try to talk about on the podcast a lot, but I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah. Because I was so like feelings matter. I had heard once when my poor daughter was like the guinea pig of, of everything, as my oldest. Um, but I heard once someone say that a kid hears the word no like 300 times in a day. And I was like, oh my gosh, that like totally struck me. Like, I don't want to say no, like I'm gonna be the mom is a yes mom. And that backfired a
Hmm.
lot. Um, so I would, always say, yes and yes, but it totally backfired with how, she was reacting and
Hmm. It kind
uh,
of, at that point, probably feeling the child's feeling quite confused when you have to say
mhm,
no because you have created
mhm,
an emotional dynamic where my job is to say yes to you. My job is to make sure you're happy. My job is to create ease. And then sometimes you can't because there's boundaries in the world. Like time exists, nighttime exists,
mhm.
learning to wipe your bottom exists, your teeth getting them brushed exists.
Going to
Like,
school exists.
yes, like there's like actual boundaries in the world. And if we're creating an environment where I communicate on some level, like my job is to make sure you're happy and not in any sort of emotional pain.
Yeah,
Well, there's things that are going to be uncomfortable. Like all kids want to do is play all
yeah,
day. That's it.
right. Yeah.
And they can't.
Right. And I remember feeling guilty for making them do things, like being quiet at church and forcing them to school and like, I'm so sorry. Like, and it was this whole shift. Actually, before I knew you, I hired another parenting coach and she just helped me like make this shift of no, 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 you're the leader.
Yeah.
You make the rules. This is your family's expectations and your family's rules and they this is the game. They've got to play the
And it's
game. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I love to
Hmm.
teach that this idea that children, they know that they're little. Like they know deep down, they know that they are young, that they are
Yeah.
not adults. They know this.
Hmm.
They know they don't understand time. They know they don't understand money. They know they don't know how to drive a car. Like they instinctively know that they're not supposed to be in charge.
Yeah.
And then if they are, something has gone wrong. It's scary. And when
Hmm.
we give our leadership over to them and over to their emotions, which is a dangerous idea. Uh,
Right.
but when we like give up our leadership and that role, we think we might be in service of the child, but we're actually hurting them because we're creating more anxiety,
Hmm.
more like being insecure about whether they're safe.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that if parents could really understand that children are looking for leadership,
Hmm.
it makes them
100%.
feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we
Yeah.
won't feel so much guilt.
100%. I was like, I would cry myself to sleep like every night, just rehashing the day and how I lost my temper and how I was so frustrated and I couldn't stay calm and I couldn't regulate my emotions because they couldn't regulate theirs. And it was like this vicious cycle. And it was very uncomfortable of learning how to shift and change and speak and after, several months. But then once it became more comfortable and secondhand, like oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. The difference of our home, of the peacefulness, of the fighting amongst them, of the respect, of them listening to me. Because there was a whole phase of they wouldn't listen,
Hmm. Well, they didn't
And
have any reason.
yeah, Yeah. So just night and day. I'm so, so grateful.
Yeah, that's what I see in my practice too. Like when you have created a dynamic with the child that they are under the impression that they're supposed to be happy all the time and that you're supposed to make them happy, and that when they're unhappy, it's your job to make them happy again by
Right.
regulating them, and that
Hmm.
they are, not responsible for figuring out how to manage their emotions, how to deal with disappointment, that when we start to put boundaries in, I still teach emotional coaching. Like, I'm going to coach you through that big feeling, but I'm not going to try to stop it. I'm not going to change that feeling. I'm not going to change the circumstance so that you can get over your emotion. My boundary is strong. That
Hmm.
in the beginning, and it sounds like it's what you experience, the behavior will escalate a bit. It
Hmm.
like they're like gonna
Yeah.
push harder because hey, you usually do this thing for me, and
Right.
like okay, what do I need to do to get you to do it? And they're gonna
Hmm.
increase that misbehavior, and
Hmm.
then get it's like a wave, it crests, and then they get to the other side and they're like, oh, this is how it is now.
Yes. It gets worse before it gets better.
It
And that's
really
how you know you're
does.
doing it right. Yes.
Exactly. It does require a lot of emotional regulation, but I think sometimes the emotional regulation from us comes from changing that perspective
Yeah.
that it's okay if they're unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Being
Yeah.
I can sit with them in this discomfort. A lot of parents, like, stop crying. Okay.
What do
And I
you
used to do
need?
that.
Okay, we'll get
Yeah.
you another
Like,
ice cream. Don't worry about it. Da,
yeah,
da, da.
exactly. Like,
Hmm.
let's just, and also judgment from like if you're in public, you
Oh,
know, and judgment from other parents. And I remember feeling that so heavy, like other people are judging how I'm parenting and how my kid's reacting and thinking, and I'm thinking all these million things where I really should just be focusing on this child that really needs my support right now, you know?
yeah. And maybe thinking, my kid's so lucky that they have big feelings, and I'm like allowing those and letting them work through them. Like
Yeah.
they're so lucky. Like in the middle
Yeah.
of the Target temper tantrum, the meltdown, it's like, look at how lucky this kid is. Because we're often thinking like that something has gone wrong. And
Hmm.
instead it's like, oh, look at I'm such a good mom because I let my kid cry a bit. Yeah, this is
Hmm.
healthy, And I'll give you something to cry about. Like
Right.
there's no judgment of the emotion. It's just an acceptance
Right.
of it, right? It's this here, it's present, it'll pass.
You're sad. I get it.
I wanted to ask you because I know you added recently like nanny
Hmm.
services to your business model. And I wanted
Hmm.
to ask you a little bit about it but I
Yeah.
was thinking about the guilt piece for this conversation and like,
Mhm.
how do people feel when they are hiring a babysitter or getting help in their home? What do you notice comes up? And
Hmm.
obviously, it's a privileged place to be able to have
Yeah.
extra money to hire help a little bit. But even
Yeah.
if you leave your baby or your kid with the grandparent or grandparents who are taking care of if you have to go to work, I think there's just so much weird guilt that people feel when they leave their child with someone else for
Yeah.
care.
I actually have heard some of my clients, like doula clients, talk about how their parents shame them, saying, I never had a doula. I never needed that. I never had a nanny. We didn't need that. I could handle all this. And it's like, wow, not helpful. But there's this, there's this stigma of like, hiring out. There's two. It's like hiring out is you need help and like that makes you less of a person because you need help. We all need help. And thinking back when we all grew up in villages with generations of
Yes.
grandparents and aunts and everyone was around to help out. And we forget that like we are now in a society that's so isolated and that's not normal. Like this
Hmm.
isn't how it was ever meant to be. We're supposed to be in communities. We're supposed to be helping each
Yeah.
other out.
Your group's about 100. There's a group's about 100 is what our species is made for.
Yes.
Social primates. Yeah.
I love that.
Hmm.
Um, and then also of moms, like, I don't deserve this,
Hmm.
I don't, it's fine. It's like this judgment if they do get the help. Like it's selfish, if they hire a nanny, if they're not working, just to
Yes.
like go to the gym or just to do some
Hmm.
self-care. There's this whole
Hmm.
stigma around how self-care is selfish. It is the least selfish thing. What
Hmm.
is actually selfish is not doing self-care. And then you blow up at your family all the time because you don't have a break and you're overstimulated.
Yeah.
There's so much selflessness in being mindful of taking that break and going, getting a massage, going to that class that you love. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's pottery, maybe it's dancing, whatever it is. Um, like carving out that time, maybe hiring a nanny or a sitter for that, or talking with your partner. And then there's a whole another step of how we need more date nights because
Hmm.
date nights are cheaper than divorce.
Yeah.
And, hiring
Uh-huh.
nannies and sitters for that because, yeah, it's expensive, but it's way cheaper than a divorce. So parents need to be connected.
Hmm.
That is the healthiest foundation for a family is for kids to see parents that are connected. But when you're so busy with work and kids and home stuff, it like gets really, really hard. My kids have been gone, right, for a month in with their grandparents. And me and my husband have had all this time to like go out. We've gone grocery shopping together. We cooked together. We've gone to the gym together. It's like we're dating again. And it is amazing. I have just like fallen back in love with him and just like, oh my gosh, I like forget how much I actually love you.
Hmm.
And without the stress of the kids of like, are they in bed? Is the house clean? The chores? Did they read today? When you take that out of it and it's just the two of you, it's like, it's so
Yeah.
healing. So,
Yeah, I think of like lately, so I'm empty nest now. My kids are 20 and 22, and they've been out of high school for the youngest out for 2 years. So I have not been active parenting for 2 years. In the first year, I realized that I spent a lot of time by myself, spent a lot of
mhm.
time quiet, painted. I did a lot of puzzles. I was like in a zone. I was in a zone. And when I came out of that period of time, I recognized that had been in a chronic state of activated nervous system, a chronic state of
Mhm,
stress for
mhm,
20 years raising
mhm,
kids.
mhm,
And even though I did take really good care of myself, it just is a tax on us. Thinking about
mhm,
humans, are they okay? What do they need? What's going on? Being present, being available. And we do need breaks from stressors. So we have
mhm,
the stressful situation, and then we have periods of time where we're not in it. And that is where we reset our nervous system. So if you are constantly with your children or at work, like if that's the two spaces, and those are both demanding,
mhm.
when do you reset that nervous system? When do you bring that cortisol back down? And
Yeah.
you can't do it well, you can do it, but not really when you're with your children. When you're in the thing that is stressful, it's very hard to decrease the stress while you're experiencing it. You're
Yeah.
just kind of
Right.
managing the load, right?
Right.
You're just kind of managing that load. And so
Mhm,
having those breaks, literally like brake, like a break in like
mhm.
so that you can stop and not keep staying activated and in that stress. So yeah, having a month is amazing, but having a couple of hours is also amazing with your partner
Right.
alone, whatever it is. We kind of need that in
Yes, it's
order to,
so vital for
yeah.
moms to get a break once a week. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Just on their own with their partner, but even on your own.
Hmm. Yeah, I was
It's like,
thinking when I used to do a lot of stand-up paddleboarding. We live in Los Angeles area, so we live near the ocean. And I haven't had the desire to do that for the last few years. I'm not drawn to it. It sounds hard. I don't want to put my board on my car. I don't want to drive over there. I don't want to carry it. It all sounds like
right.
heavy and hard. And I like,
Uh-huh.
well, who was I that I used to do that all the time? And
Yeah.
it's because I desperately needed this period of time where I was unavailable. Like out in
Mm,
the ocean, nobody
unreachable.
can, I cannot be accessed. I'm not on my phone. I'm not available. I would just be like outside of time and space.
Mhm.
And I had this friend we went with all the time. She's a yogi. And it just I don't need that anymore because I'm not in chronic stress. I can get that experience whenever I want, like, outside of
Mhm.
my job. And I just want to normalize that for moms. Like when you're in it, you are in it. It is a tax.
Mhm.
It is a stress load. You are carrying heavy shit.
Yeah.
And you're going to need to put that down in order to be able to pick it up again. And that's
Yeah.
like how it is. You guys put it down, pick it up.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
what a beautiful thing that you have now that gives us all hope
I know.
that, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that our nervous system will be regulated soon one
Yes.
day.
Like motherhood ends. It's a period of time. It's a season of your life.
Yeah.
I'm still a mom to
Yeah.
my two children and have a relationship with them and what that looks like individually and how they rely on me and all of that. I'm still very present in their life, but I'm not in the active role of mothering
Yeah.
anymore. And I'm not in the season of motherhood. This season, someone asked me on a podcast, they're like, what are you calling it? I'm like, darlinhood? I don't know. It's mehood, me season. Like, but I just find like I'm going back to myself, my pre whoever I was before and how this has changed me. And it's a new opportunity for discovery. But yeah,
Mm,
I'm not stressed.
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't have to think
amazing.
about what anybody's eating ever.
Right. Amazing. I know.
Amazing.
I look forward to that one day of like, what do I actually want to do today?
Uh-huh.
Not like what does work need me to do? What do my clients need? What do my children, what does my family need?
Hmm.
But, one day I'm going to be like, what do I feel like doing today?
So, yes, there's lots of hope for all the moms listening. But enjoy it while you're in it. Take
I
breaks, as we're
know.
saying, and not to feel so guilty when you need breaks. It's not your job. If your kids are in pain, it's not because you've done anything wrong. Like, we
Yeah.
could just drop all the guilt and all the judgment.
Do you ever, because I feel like later, I'm going to be like, oh, there's those moms that like miss it so much. They miss
Mhm.
the little, you know what I mean? They're just like, what I would give to go back to that. And they're always telling us young moms, like, cherish every second, but we're all in it, and we're like, we're not cherishing every second. Like, there's some really hard seconds,
Yeah, I
the,
do
the
not I
days are
do not
long.
I don't miss it. I miss parts of my people being little. I
Hmm.
miss like their body and their smell and like bedtime and I miss the closeness of it and the sweetness and the naivete that they had that they brought the childlike
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back. It was so tiring. It was so exhausting. I do not have rose-colored glasses about it. Probably because I spend every day talking to moms. Like I'm in it all the time still. Because I get,
True. My mom will be like, "Oh my gosh, raising you guys was the best. It was
Mhm.
like it was the best years of my life, and would speak so highly." And I was like, "This is really hard though."
Yeah, I do think it's the best years of my life up until now because it was very deeply satisfying and relationally. You have so much purpose and meaning in
Hmm.
raising children, and it's like a life work. It feels really good, and it's hard. It
Yeah.
like I've been grieving the end of it as I've retired from that role and
Yeah.
filling the time or understanding how I want to spend my time. That it is confusing to spend so long doing one thing and then not needing to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
yeah, missing the closeness. But I do find that very hard for women to hear, like, savor it. And I know why women say that to each other because there is something that will be lost when they're grown. But that is the nature of growth.
Yeah. Right.
There's always an end. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's all
It's
okay.
yeah, it's so true.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
You're so welcome. Thank you for asking. I'm so
Yeah, I knew
excited.
we'd have a good conversation.
Yeah. I met you a couple of years ago and I knew. I was like, this lady, very good lady.
Very good lady. Same. I felt the same. Yeah. Well, I'm glad like what you're doing in the world is so important. So we all
Thank you.
appreciate
So
it.
are you. So, like, your industry changed my whole parenting life and perspective. So,
Mm,
so grateful for women like you.
yeah.
Us moms need it so bad. There was
So true.
no handbook, you know?
All right. Thank you. Hey, Mama, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, I want to encourage you to do two things. The first is go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and get a copy of the Stop Yelling cheat sheet. You'll get a step-by-step breakdown of the most important tool I teach, which is the pause break. And you'll also get 40 ideas to reset your body and balance your nervous system so you don't have to yell at your kids. You can get a copy of that, again, at my website, calmmamacoaching.com/stop yelling. The other thing I'd love for you to do is go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast so that other moms can discover empowering and helpful, practical parenting strategies, just like you did today. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to be in your ear every week and to support you on your parenting journey.